Hey, Susan. Hey, baby. We are live. Yay. It finally connected. I'm going to give it just a second here. I've got a couple more things to click on, and we'll get started. Okay. Hi, Pat. Hi, Sue and Jamie. Thank you for that sound check, Jamie. I am going to go ahead and play the intro, guys, and we are going to get started. Oops, accidentally clicked the button again. Hey guys, first of all, let me say thanks to all my moderators and to all of my supporters from Ko-fi and Patreon, and also my YouTube memberships. And a shout out there to EJ Fun Prints as well. That is our August calendar. I am live tonight. I am going to try, I have the 31st on for a live next week, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try desperately. We have a community yard sale this week, and I've got several things going on, so I may have to postpone that one. If I do, I'll do it as quickly as I can, or either do a recorded video for you guys to make up for that. Let's see. This is tonight's file I have for you guys. You can get it at craftingwithapril.co. You have to be a monthly supporter to get this file, or you can set up your own file. I did use Design Space Images for this because the main focus for this one is our techniques. And I did put the silver glitter pen in there for the writing because we are using a black card base so that you guys can see how to use a dark base. However, my glitter gel pen would write perfectly fine until I tried to write this, and then it wouldn't work. So I had to come up with an alternative, and I'll show you that. But of course, we taught you embossing last week, so you could always do a stamp and do white embossing powder or gold or silver embossing powder with your clear pens, or either you could stamp with the white opaque ink and put clear over it, which would be my suggestion on a black background, because if you've got any little stray pieces of embossing powder, you know that it's going to stick. So it's better to do that with a white ink and clear embossing powder. So those are some options that you can do, and I'm going to show you the options that I can do. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Barbara. Shirley. So that is the file, and you can change it up if you don't have access. Put your own images in there and things like that. Switch it up. Now, I did put that spider in red, and that is just because, guys, I put in a new blade and everything, and I tried to get that thing to cut 9 ways to Sunday, and I gave up, and I'll show you. If I still have him laying here on my desk, I'll show you. I just couldn't paper. Now, we all know that black paper has more fibers and it is more difficult to cut than other papers sometimes, for whatever reason, the humidity or whatever in the air. So maybe it'll cut for you, or maybe it'll cut out of a different color. But as far as cutting that out of black, I had a really hard time. Yay, you love Halloween. I do too. Hi, Ann. So let's pop over to the overhead and go ahead and take a peek. Now, I did a couple of backgrounds, and I'm going to show you guys, but I'm going to be working with the Close to My Heart inks, only because I like the colors. I mean, I like all the colors. Every background you do is going to be different, guys. It's going to be different. You're never going to have two alike, and that's the beauty of inking. And I did a couple of different techniques. This one I did wet a little bit, but you can see I've got my moon there. And that one works pretty good as well. I really like that. This is done with the Tim Holtz Oxide Distress inks, and I wet them, okay? I wet the ink and did this one and smeared it around. So I'll show you a couple of different things on that. And the difference is papers. And these are the same inks. And I mean, seriously, they're the same inks, and it's a difference in paper. Now for your panels, I'm just going to say I use Cricut cardstock on everything except my inking panel, because it does matter, guys. It does matter. You can use watercolor paper. Tim Holtz has some papers that come in panels. I use the mixed media, and this one is the mixed media paper. And you can see the difference in the colors on this one. And then this one is the Bristol paper, okay, and it's a lot smoother. And but I didn't wet this one, okay. I don't think. I may have, but you'll see. We'll do one, and you'll see. And then I used the Bristol paper for this one as well, but I used dye inks and a pigment ink. I used the black pigment ink, and then the rest were dye inks. So you're going to get different combinations, and I can show you guys how to do this. Let me just say, I am not an expert at inking. I am not. I'm still learning myself, but I'm just going to pass on what I have learned with you guys. And there are several YouTubers out there, Tim Holtz especially, who is a fantastic inker. There are a couple of others that you'll find. Jennifer McGuire, I think, is another one. They ink really, really, really well. And that's some of the people that I've been watching and learning from. So, but it doesn't matter if you watch one video or 50 videos. You're going to pick up little tips and tricks along the way. It's sort of like doing epoxy or doing signs. The more you do, the more you're going to learn. And every time it's going to be different. And you can use the same technique on 3 different papers and do 2 different inks and get different looks. Or do one ink and get 2 looks, or do a different ink and get another look. So there are so many things that you can learn. Take your scraps and practice. But I will say your textured Cricut cardstock is really, you can do a little bit with it, but you're going to get a totally different look than what you have here. You really need some smooth cardstock to do this with. So I am going to, my favorite for this is the, whatever you plan to do with it. Yeah, the Bristol is much easier to, especially if you're learning, the Bristol is very easy to work with, okay? I just want to throw that out there. That's a plus. Now, I do use these. I tried using, and you guys have seen me use the little round inker, and I showed you that, I think, last week on one of the cards that we did with embossing and stuff. Now, you can use those, but I found that for me, they're more difficult. And I watched one of the inkers, and they were using these, well, makeup brushes, or look like makeup brushes. They're inking makeup brushes, or whatever you want to call it, and I do have a link for that. All the links are down below for the paper and these brushes, and they come in different sizes. You can get a set that has them all the same size, or you can get sets that has various. Let me grab these over here. I wasn't using, they have various different sizes. So, and I've got inks on some of mine because some of them I used and tested out for other projects. You might have a tight area like in this one that you missed a place inking, or you wanted a little bit more ink but you didn't want to get it on your glitter. You might want to go in there with a smaller brush and get that in there. So These things right here are worth their weight in gold. They are very inexpensive and for what you get. And to me, it makes inking so much easier. So much easier. So, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I'm going to try to replicate this, guys. But again, no two are ever missed. And I got this at Tuesday morning on a really deep discounted sale, and it come in a pack with several different colors. I am not going to spray this base, but I'm just going to tell you guys how to do it. If you want this look that I have, you can see on that paper, I wanted it to look, it's a Halloween card. I wanted it to look spooky. And I did want my paper warped, so I heated it to warp it, but you don't have to, okay? And it depends on how wet you get it. You can spray this and sponge it on, or you can spray it and mist it and then heat it like I did. And it's going to rub off just a little bit at first, and then the rest is going to stick. Or you can use a fixative spray. You can use, I just use this, but they do make a fixative spray that you can spray over this, and it will keep it from rubbing off at all. But once you just rub it, I just rub mine down a little bit and knock off the excess, and it's fine. But I did that on the front. I did it on the back. This side I sprayed some of that sealer, so it kind of almost made it look like fabric. Okay? And all I did was spray some Krylon clear acrylic spray on it. Very, very, very lightly. Okay? And I can't do that in here, and that's why I'm not going to do it. It has to be done outside or in a well-ventilated area. But that's how I dressed up my base. And all I did, again, was I just sprayed it and do it on a piece of scrap first so you know how that your sprayer is going to spray. You can use any color that has the glimmer mist in it. Nuvo also makes some scrap. You can get those at scrapbook.com or Tonic. There are links down below for that. And they come in all different brands, but it's just a shimmer mist. And you just mist the card and let it dry. Hey, Paula. And I did the whole front of this, and again, we did that. And then I worked on my panels. Now, this spider web is cut from the smooth glitter paper from Cricut. Yeah, smooth glitter is in the black silver pack. Okay? And that's what I used for that. And then the purple and the green and all of that are also Cricut. I used some Nuvo drops. I used the glow in the dark, and these do glow, and just to decorate up these letters a little bit. If you look in the file, I don't know if I left it. Yeah, I left it contoured. I hid my contours because I didn't want to cut those little bitty holes. And then I just used Nuvo drops, but it's up to you how you want to do yours. So, Nuvo drops, lots of things you can do to dress up your card, okay? But just spray it. Now, as far as this writing goes, if you've got your Cricut glitter pen and it works, perfect. Use that. If you don't have that and you wanted it to even be dressed up more, I'm trying to grab a scrap here. Now, I don't recommend this. My maker is not in warranty, so I do it. But they do make an adapter at, I think it's called Little Big Town on Etsy. And you can remove your pin adapter very carefully because you can break the prongs on your pin adapter. And then I just put this in, and this is a ball sign Sakura gel ink. This was way before Cricut came out with their gel pens. Mine just didn't work, but this is what I used, okay? So, and it didn't give me as fine of a tip as I wanted, as I could have gotten with my Cricut pen, but I used it anyway. But you can swap that out in your machine if your machine's out of warranty, but I advise before you do that, that you get your hands on a second pen adapter in case you crack yours, taking it out and putting it back in, because it will happen, and then your stylus, nothing's going to fit when you try to use it if you crack that piece. But you'll just push it up from the bottom as you pull up on it and then take it out. Yes, your metallic markers from Cricut will write nicely on the darker colors. And then there's also a Recollections opaque pen. And it fits without removing your adapter. And you can use that for writing. Of course, I'm writing really fast, but Recollections makes an opaque marker that you can get that will write on your dark cardstocks. So if you have the metallics, use your metallic Cricut pens. I try not to before I do my writing, and it wrote fine, and then it started writing and it wouldn't write. So I don't know why it doesn't. I think it was the texture of the paper. I don't know, because I did have it on backwards. So we'll see. So let's go ahead and get started with the inking. And as always, if you have any Design Space questions or project questions, or you need me to show you something, again, let me know. Now all I've done is I've taken my 9x12 Bristol paper. This is what I'm using. And I sliced it in half, because I want a bigger piece than what I need for my panel so that I can work around my edges and things like that and not have to worry about it. So I have a little bit of playroom. And I am starting with the lemon ink. It's the dye-based ink from Close to My Heart. There is a link down below for my Close to My Heart, and one of my brushes. And I'm just going to tap it a few times on there, and I'm going to start in a circular motion. And I started right on the paper, and that's okay. If you want to go off the paper and come on, you can do it that way too. But the brushes are a little more forgiving than the traditional paper things that we were, I mean, not paper, the traditional inkers that we used to use. So I just went in a circle and started my circle right there for my moon. I know it's yellow, but it's Halloween, right? So you need a little spooky moon. We don't want anything bright and white. But if you want just bright and white, you can choose a different color ink or ink a little bit of gray around the edges, because that's going to kind of fade out. And next, I am using my pigment ink, and that's so that my other inks will be a little bit more workable. And I'm just tapping it a few times, and I'm going to tap it off on my lid. You can do it on your glass mat, whatever you want to use. But I just don't want to get this wet and not be able to dry it during the camera. So now I'm just going to come in and just start inking just randomly. I'm not doing this in any pattern. I couldn't duplicate the other one if I wanted to, because I just started throwing ink on the paper. That's all I started doing. And I just want a kind of a smoky look. Nothing really dark. I can come back and add more ink if I need it. And you can see I've got some darker areas than others. That's exactly what I'm going for here. If you don't have your darker areas, tap it again and go back in and move that ink around and get those darker areas going. Next, I'm going to go in with the purple. You can see that I've got, I'm going to set that to the side. I don't want to mix my yellow and black up. Got some ink on there. And this one is eggplant. And so I'm going to take that eggplant ink, just tapping. And then let's go up here around my moon. Not quite enough ink for me. There we go. I want that dark hit area. And you can see if you come in off of the paper, I'm going to come over here, and then come on, see how you just get that color without that darkened spot. You have to go right on the paper to get that dark spot and then work it in. So I'm just taking some of these inks and just going around. Now I'm going to come back in right there. That's a little heavier than I wanted, so I'm going to come in a little bit with more of my black. Kind of blend it in. And not all of this will get used. And darken these up a little bit. It was looking a little more taupey. Okay. And go back to my purple. Okay, now I'm going to get some of my paprika. That was a little heavier than I wanted, but that's okay. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit of my green. I can grab a brush here. And all I'm doing really is just picking a spot, guys. I'm just picking a spot. Now I'm going, oops, I didn't put any in the center, did I? And now I'm going to go back to my black, and then I'm just going to kind of start blending these together. Blending some more of that black in there. I'm probably not even going to be using this side, so that's why I'm coming in on that one. And I still feel like this is still a little bit too bright. I don't want to darken it much. I'm going right over that yellow. And that's a little more than I wanted. I'm just going to smooth it out. Got my yellow again. But just play around with it. Get it looking like you want. I want more purple. Let's see, what happened to my, there it is. And then I kind of just lay this over and see what I'm getting. And I didn't get that blended quite as much as I wanted. And all I did was just, this is just water. Just a little spray on my glass sheet here. I'm just kind of going in and moving my ink a little bit. See, I'm not paying any attention to all this where I came in and I was playing. I'm really just paying attention to right about where I want my frame to be. Because I can come in after I cut it and I can darken my edges and do what I want. So I kind of like that. And let's see. Just going to put it on my mat here, and I'm going to take 1/1 1/4 and maybe 1 1/4 off the bottom. So let's get our handy dandy trimmer. If I can figure out where I put it. There we go. So it just looks like a mess right now, right? I'm going to start with 1 1/4. Let's start with 1 inch. I'm going to take that piece off. Take that off. Okay, so I know that it needs to be 6.75 inches tall. I can take a little bit more off the bottom. So we're going to take that off. And let's see. I'm just going to take maybe 0.75 off this side. Maybe. It needs to be 4.75 wide. So then I've got what I really wanted. And now when I put that down, it changes the whole look of the card. And I still have a light spot right here. So I may go in Decisions. Going with a little bit of the purple. And I'm just going in with a little bit of the eggplant right there in that light spot. Just kind of work it around. Whatever's on my mat here, I've got a little orange left over. I'm just going on those edges. And it does look brighter on the camera than it actually is. Yeah, eggplant is retired. It's, yeah, sangria will work well, or the grape, either one. It just happens to be the one that I grabbed. Thank you, Susan, for reminding me of that, because I forgot that. But yes, the grape or the sangria will work. It'll work just fine. Yeah, the inks should be fine. You can also re-ink, Shirley. So we have this one, but I'm not going to glue this together because I'm going to show you a little bit different, what the difference looks like when you use the oxides. But you can keep working with it if you're not happy with it. Like this green is still a little much for me, and I may go in and keep working with it in this spot here. But you can keep blending your blacks and all that, and get rid of your light spots and work with those inks. Let me, and don't be afraid to get ink on your hands because it's going to happen. Just going to wipe with a baby wipe. See all of that? That's all the ink on my glass pad there. Better than on the desk though, right? And I don't know if this is the proper way to clean these brushes, but it works for me. and takes every bit of that off. So I just use the same baby wipe and just wipe them off. Still had a lot of purple in that one. I'll set that one to the side till I can clean it. I wash them with water as well once I'm completely done. Those are all clean. I didn't even wipe that one. Get some more of that purple out of there. Okay. And let's pull out some distress inks. Now on the distress inks, these should not, all of these should be available. I got these at various places, Joann's, Amazon, you name it, you can get these. And I've got Mowed Lawn, Spiced Marmalade, Squeezed Lemonade, Black Soot, and Dusty Concord. And those are the ones we're going to work with here. And I'm going to start again with my Squeezed Lemonade, which on the other we used lemon. And I'm just going to do my little circle, and you can see how you don't get the spotting with these, and starting right on the paper you don't get that. It blends very easily and very well. You can also, we're going to do the same 2 steps, but we're going to do one straight onto the paper and one we're going to tap onto the mat and maybe spray just a little bit of water in it so that it is workable, a little more workable. And then we're going to come on that paper and get just a little bit different look. Now you can put it on the paper as well and then spray your water. I don't like my paper to get that wet because if it gets too wet, it can, some papers, not all papers, can pill up on you. If you know what I mean. If you ever had a sweater that had fuzz on it, you don't want your paper to get fuzzy. So depending on the paper that you're using, you want to be careful of that. I'm just going to take a baby wipe and clean that off. And now, I don't know, I'm not even going to look at my other 2. I'm just going to go in here and make this one different. I'm going to go in with the purple. Well, I say purple, it's Dusty Concord. And I'm just going to go straight on my paper with this and work it and blend it around. I'm going to put some over here. I'm just going to give it a little spritz of water. We're going to do the same things. And this is both on the, I forgot to bring my other paper over here. This is both on the Bristol. And you can see that doing it, wetting it, and then putting it on there on the Bristol, you can see that it's trying to pill up a little bit. Let me show you what I mean. Kind of fuzzing up on the paper. I forgot to bring my mixed media piece in to do 3 at a time. So let me go back and get some of that yellow. just going to go in here. Put some on the paper. And I will wet this one afterwards. Okay. I kind of did that one backwards, but it's okay. And this is the spiced marmalade. Is that my purple? So this is my mixed media. This is my one I wet, and this one is just straight on. I'm a little off camera on that one. I'm running out of space, guys. And I'm just blending that right into the purple. I'm just bringing it right in. And right into that yellow. I only did one spot on this. That's okay. You get it. And I forgot to wet that one. So I'm going to wet this one now so you guys can see. You can do that and get those water spots on there. Just going to blow it around so you can get those inky water spots. All depends on what you want to do with your inks. I'm just going to use it to kind of blend a little bit more. And then just going to do a little bit more down here. Get a little lighter with it. And let's do some green. Oh, I guess I better put some of the orange on my other paper. I'm trying to blend those lines a little bit, but we're going to wet that one after we're good and wet. And then let's come in here. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to blend in my lines without covering the other color completely. This is what you're going for right here, is get those blended in. You may have to go over a little bit more. I still have a little bit of a line there. And again, I'm not too worried about my edges because I'm going to cut those off. That's why my paper is bigger than it's supposed to be. I'll tap some off here. My paper has a blemish on it. So we ink some of those around. And now we're going to go in with the black. This is the black. A little bit of the color and start moving it around. Now I'm going to add a little water to that because it doesn't want to move. Got a little too dry. This is my working area, basically. Can't get it where I want it. There we go. I'm just kind of smoking up all of those. And then when we cut that one, and you can see that there's a difference in the inks. But again, it's all going to depend on blending. This is the wet one. You can see once they dry how different that they come out. I know this one looks crazy. And I'm just adding a little bit onto this one, and then we're going to start wetting them and playing around with that. Okay, so now this one we don't have any water on, it's just the inks, and we just moved them around. Now you can still blend these a little bit. You can see that I'm toning that yellow down a little bit, and then I can go in and add more yellow if I get it too dark. Totally up to you on how you do that, but that is on the Bristol. So very easy to blend these and bring out different colors and things like that. Add more color, and you can wet it and, like we're about to do the others, and take it away. Now on this one, I'm just going to spritz it just a little bit, and then I'm just going to start working those in. I actually wanted this brush, but that's okay. So that I can kind of bring those colors back up. Just kind of blending that black into it. And if you don't have enough color, you can come in and add some more color. But all you're going to do, guys, is just go in and play around with them and get the looks that you want. Just going to bring that out. And for me, that's pretty good. This one's drying really good over here. It's not, doesn't have as many light spots as I thought. This is my dye ink. I didn't come down quite enough on this one, but that's okay. It's just an example anyway. But you can see playing with those inks and bringing them in and wetting them and blending them back together. How cool is that? And then, I'm just going to set that one to the side. This one's on the mixed media. I'm just going to get some drops on there. You just spray that out a little bit. I'm going to kind of blot it. You can see how the water droplets react in that. And all I did was spray it, blot it off, and then you can brush it a little bit more, add more color, take more color away. Totally up to you if you want to keep working it. I would probably go back in with some more yellow. I got a little too much black on this one. But this one was just for play anyway. Where'd that yellow go? There it is. But you can layer this up, blend it. See how it's starting to get that smoky effect here over the moon? That's kind of the look that I got on this one with the dye inks back here. So lots of things that you can do. Tons and tons. But today we just played around with some oxides and some dyes just to see what we could come up with. And I'm just catching up comments, guys. But you're going to get all sorts of looks. Now this one this one pilled up on me. This one's the Bristol. I got it too wet. So you want to be careful if you're doing the Bristol paper. You don't want to get those too wet. It will peel. And guys, you can use these oxide inks on dark paper as well. That's a good idea, Deb, to put a dot of vinyl on for what color you're using. I wash mine out, so. This glass mat, Susan, this is an old refrigerator shelf. The refrigerator quit working, and I kept this glass mat, and I've used it for years. But Tim Holtz does have a glass mat. I just popped this one down over my Cricut mat, and that's what I use. I didn't buy one of the Tim Holtz ones simply because I had this. If it were to ever break, I would probably go with the Tim Holtz one. Yeah, Shirley, you can repurpose. It works just fine. It works just as well as the other. It doesn't have a grid on it or a ruler, but you can put it over your Cricut mat and give you that look. Yeah, Mary has the We Are Memories Keeper one. Yep, it's a nice one too. Which color was it? The Mowed Lawn? I forgot. We used Mowed Lawn, Spiced Marmalade, Black Soot, Dusty Concord, and Squeezed Lemonade on the oxides. Now you can do those on dark paper as well. I guess I could show you guys a little bit on the dark paper. But again, I am not an inking expert. I do play around with the inks. You guys can play around with the inks. Tons of things you can do. But before you go into more detailed inking, it's best to go ahead and play around with this and get used to how the inks spread, how they work, what they look like on different papers, and get a feel for each one of them. The best paper, Paula, is going to be your Bristol's smooth cardstocks. If you plan on wetting them and distressing them, you're going to want to use watercolors or even a plasticky type paper. What's the name of that one? I bet Jamie knows it. It's a Tim Holtz paper, and it's got like a plastic feel to it. Well, it is kind of really a plastic. So You can, this is the squeezed lemonade. You can use lots of different papers, and all your papers are going to react different. So it's going to determine what your project is and what you're doing with it. But it's not showing up as well on camera, but that's really pretty. Let's see if I can darken it for the camera on that paper. I'm looking at it on, man, it may just be the way my camera's showing it, so I don't know. But you can work these on the darker papers as well. And this is the Dusty Concord. And get yourself a totally different look going on this. Even the soot will look different. It's going to smoke it up. And then this is the orange marmalade. And they will look different dry also, guys. Oops. I dropped my mowed lawn. There we go. And these are just a few of the colors, guys. Tim Holtz and the Ranger inks, oxide inks, there's a long list of colors. Blacks and whites, same color palette. Yeah, I like them on the black too. I don't know if it's going to dry up any darker, brighter. Got a little bit brighter. So there you go. You can see how they change as they darken. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty fun to work with. But guys, get your inks and play with them. I am in the process of learning another technique, and I'll try to show that one to you guys. But if you take your time and play with it, it doesn't matter if you have the oxides or you have dyes or pigments. Guys, you can do all of these techniques with both. They're just going to work differently, and playing with them and working them around. And just because I'm using these brushes doesn't mean that that's going to work for you. Most people like the little one where you pull the pad off and change it. If you want to use that little circular one that looks like an old-fashioned stamp and you want to use that one, it might work better for you. I just tried both of them. Well, I had used the others for years, and then I tried these last week, so that's why I say I am still playing with these and getting used to how to use these, but so far I'm loving these better than I do the others. So see what works for you. Worst case scenario, you have new makeup brushes, right? So what was the frame again? What was in the frame? This frame? Oh, I'm sorry, you lost me there, Susan. And you can see once you blend all of these, because I just put it on the paper to show you guys, that silver is going to pop up really well on that black glitter, I mean. It's going to pop up really well. Those colors look super cool with that. The spider web, it's in Design Space, guys. It's, hang on and I will tell you. We can go over and show you as well. In case you guys, some of you guys don't know, you may be new, right here, click on your title. Go down to Fonts and Images Used. And this is Spiderweb Frame MCCF3F4. So you can see it there. Or you can come over into your Layers panel and go to the Image Info. It is on, this is the smooth glitter paper from Cricut. There it is. I love the smooth glitter paper. Love, 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 love it. Cuts like a dream. I cut it on intricate cardstock, by the way. I did not cut it on glitter. It's called Smooth Glitter, Black and Silver. And you get different patterns. I love these stripes. Love, love, love. I see some Beetlejuice at Christmas with those stripes. What paper did I use for what, Anne? The black was Cricut paper. I did use Cricut paper for this right here. This is the smooth. The card base is the Cricut black cardstock. The green, the purple, the orange, all Cricut. The white is Cricut. The bats are Cricut. Everything is Cricut except this panel. And I use the Bristol ink. The Bristol paper with the dye inks. Close to my heart, dye inks. And this is the oxides on the mixed media paper. I think. Tickling my throat, I'm sorry. I think, I don't know, I may have mixed them up. I think this is my mixed media. I can tell. This is the mixed media. Nope. Aha. This is the Bristol paper with the oxide inks. And then this one is the Bristol. I have lost one of my sheets. This one is the watercolor, you can tell because it's torn off, but I had another piece of that out here somewhere. But I don't know, I'm just so partial. When it comes to these type cards, I'm partial to the dye inks. I really like them. Oh, I did, that was my fault. That was not was not OBS this time. That was my fault. There it goes. Now you should see. Okay. Cricut paper on the black with the oxides. Everything on here is Cricut paper except the ink blended paper. That's the Bristol paper and the dye inks. Okay. This one is Bristol paper with the oxide. And you can see that they're drying differently. This is also the Bristol paper. This one I didn't wet. This one I did. Okay. And this one is the mixed media paper. And I did wet it and do some of the water spotting on it. And then this is the Bristol paper that was wet. And you have to be careful because when you do that makeup brush on there, it will, let's see if I can, it will peel up like a sweater when you get a pick on it. It kind of peels up a little bit. So you have to be careful. If you're going to do it wet, I'm going to say use watercolor or mixed media. Of me. That was the smooth glitter, and I'll go and show you guys again. I want to use that for some Beetlejuice on a Beetlejuice card. I really do. But it has some different patterns in it. But I cut it on intricate instead of glitter paper, and it cut just perfectly fine. I didn't have any problems with it. Does anybody have any questions at all? I'm just going to pop those over there because I have to clean all that. Oh, there's my other one. This is the Bristol paper as well. I knew I had another sheet of paper there and I lost it. But you can go back in, guys, let it dry, figure out if that's what you want. If you want to add more inking to it, you can go in, and that's all I did is I layered these up, and you can see this one's still a little light, and all I did was go back in with the same colors and darken it. That's all I did. I just laid my initial ink down. So get it like you want it. And again, this one will be similar to this. No two are ever going to be alike, but I'm just going to go in and add more of my purple, my orange, my greens, my yellows. I probably won't add any more black because I really don't need it. I just need to go in and fill in these purples and run them up. But you have to go in and play with it because I can explain it all day long and keep laying ink down, but until you actually do it and get a feel for it, you're not going to know if you like it or not. So you can start with one or two colors that are close where you can blend them and work with them. Or you can start with 4 or 5 colors like this with your Halloween colors and work and play with those because you can use them for other things. You can take one color like your purple and start dark at the bottom and then ombre it till it gets light at the top. So you can work with the inks and still get the same look. To me, this is one of the hardest techniques is your Halloween colors and blending all those colors and getting them to work without turning to mud. That's the thing, is it takes a little bit of practice. And I didn't fully lay all my ink down on this one yet. So don't try to put it all down at once. If you do, it's just going to be a muddy mess. But I'm going to go back in and again start with my purples and then go to my oranges and then work in those colors to get them blended just a little bit better. But I think I have enough of the yellow and the black in there. Have a great night, Shirley. But again, get it as light or as dark as you want it and play with it. All right, if nobody has any other questions, I will catch you next Monday. If I moderators, thank you to my Ko-fi and Patreon supporters and my YouTube memberships. Greatly appreciate you guys.